Well, good afternoon, everybody, and we are back with the rig. Jen and I went down about an hour and a half ago and picked up the rig. Go ahead and look at what was done today and what was done for the price. And you know, we'll talk about that a little bit here. I don't know if I still got the keys out here or whatever. Well, let's go down the list here, guys. Let's sit down a minute. Let's make ourselves comfortable. Now, one of the things that I talked about before when it came to the GMC motor coaches, how many repair outfits seem to enjoy working on them, and this guy says you hardly ever see these rigs anymore, but it was something that everybody wanted to be involved with when it came into the shop. And he was talking about you know, I thought the guy was going to make an offer to buy the damn rig, to tell you the truth. So I was getting a little nervous, like, oh shit, there goes the, you know, I'm going to have to book the profit on this thing and get something else. But he just went on and on and on about how much fun it was to check it over, because you really don't see these rigs too often anymore. So he was talking about the clubs that you can join. He was really cool, guys. He was even talking about the place down the street that you could take the rig to if you had airbag issues with the suspension. And of course, one of the nice things about this with the independent rear suspension is it's an airbag sort of cushioned ride. And I always wonder, geez, if I ever pop one of those airbags, where in the hell are you going to get that? And the guy's like, you know, the guy 2 doors down, he can take care of that stuff for you, no problem. He eats that air suspension for, you know, it's common for rigs, right, for motor coaches and stuff. So I kind of pressed him a little bit on it, and I said, what am I going to really need coming up? And he said, well, because it's been sprung on this suspension for a long time, there's been a lot of weight over the years, 41 years, sitting on the ball joints and things like that. So he said, you're going to want to replace those ball joints. He said, there's nothing that has to be done in the next year or so, because I want to tell you, I wouldn't let this rig leave this shop if I felt that there was any safety concern whatsoever, because he said, you know, my liability rides on a safety check here. So you better believe the first time you come into this shop that we're going to take shit real seriously in here, and you're not leaving here. If I found an issue that I thought was going to affect the safety, you would not be leaving this shop. So I found that very comforting. So he said, I'd like to see you beef up the suspension a little bit and get the new ball joints in the future, and maybe replace get the tie rods and things, tighten up the steering a little bit. Well, I was under the impression that the steering wasn't loose, but he said it's marginally, you know, a little bit on the loose side. But he said, since you're pressing me, that's what I would do. But he said I would drive this rig anywhere, any distance, with no issues whatsoever. Even the tires are in good shape. He said there's some very minor splits on the tires, but these tires are in fantastic shape. He said they're Michelin tires, which are extremely expensive, and they're very well made, as we know, on there. So having said that, let's talk about the things that he did do, and we'll discuss the price that he charged and the shop rates versus other places that you may go to get your coach work done. Back, let's talk about, like I said, some of the things that we had done here on the rig. Well, the first thing was the lube, oil, and filter. Got that changed out on that, and since this was also, you have to go into his shop to be one of his regular customers, which I hope to be. You have to understand, number one, that he is a fleet service truck repair shop and maintenance shop. So he said, I'm dealing with many more RVs than I want, because there aren't a lot of people apart from dealers that deal with RVs. So, you know, I'm not real happy about it, but, you know, since you have an interesting quote unquote coach, You know, you're welcome to bring your rig here, but understand that I fit your motor coach work in between the other things I'm doing with trucks and stuff like that. So please understand that they have the top priority doing the fleet work and stuff. So I understood that. But he said one of the conditions is that we do this safety check. So he checked the condition and operation of the drive belts, the battery and cable and the interconnection systems, the starter operation systems, the intake system on manifolds and carburation, exhaust system on output from exhaust manifolds, the special headers that we have on here, the integrity of all hoses and systems, hose fittings, vacuum hoses, EPA compliant things, air filters, air intake, tubes, hoses, fuel system integrity, all lines checked end to end, hoses, connections, fittings, tightness, clamps, ignition wires, full cooling system checkout, hoses, fans, cabin fan system, and air conditioning system. Okay. The check the level and condition of all fluids, coolant, oil, transmission, power, steering, brakes, washer. There were some light bulbs that need to be replaced in the I think lifting up the service area up front. There was a service light bulb that he replaced, and then he did the tune-up. He tuned up the engine, new wires, replaced all the spark plugs, put a new distributor cap and rotor on, like I said, all plugs and everything. Then he replaced the oil pressure sending unit. Now, dumb old me, I bought the wrong damn unit, but it was only $3.29, and you know, he went ahead and got the correct one and popped it in, and lo and behold, that oil pressure, you know, I'll show you in a little while, the oil pressure reading is perfect. So I kind of suspected old Rosie, the mechanic of pre-computerized stuff, that probably the sensor had gone bad, and in fact that's exactly the thing that did go bad, and replaced that. Went ahead and checked all the brake systems too, pulled every wheel and checked every drum and every pad and everything for the disc up front and the drums in the back. Checked out perfectly. The suspension ride in the back he checked out. He checked the frame for alignment, anything that might have indicated that it had been damaged before, and any kind of collision. And of course we already had the Carfax. It was never, you know, it was never in a wreck or anything. And he said the mileage is absolutely true on this thing, because believe me, he said, when I've been doing this work for 45 years, I know an engine on site and can tell you. So he said you can be reliant that mileage is true, because you can see also by the exterior of the coach that this thing was relatively well maintained, even though you had, you know, Jerry Garcia smoking up a storm with his Swisher Sweet tobacco and all that. So for all the work that was done on that, the total we were looking at was on all that work was $564, of which $450 was labor of that figure. And he said there was about 5 hours of labor involved in doing everything that had to be checked out, and you know, doing the consultation work on the book, and doing a little checkup on the manuals, pulling the old manuals off the shelves for the GMC motor coach. So 5 hours for $465 ain't bad for shop rates, when you can be looking at $150 to $250 at like an RV dealer service place. So please guys, if you're going to get your motor coach repaired or checked out, don't forget about the truck places too. They're used to pulling up the working on the big rigs and stuff, and a lot of them are more familiar than you think with working on it. So having discussed that now, which I thought I got a great price, because let's face it, this guy could have stuck it to me and said there's 1,000,001 things that need to be fixed on this rig. But as he told me today, when I said, wow, that's it, you know, okay, stupid, right? That's all And he said, look, I got all the work I can handle in here. I don't want a bigger shop. I don't want undependable people coming in. I've had the same crew of guys for 14 years here. I'm not gonna do any work that's not necessary. I make a great living on this, and I don't need it. So I thought, well, you know, Jen and I are just kind of looking at each other like, oh, you know, what do we do to deserve this? So we were very excited about that. So I'll show you up front now the sensor, and then we'll talk about a couple other things that we want to address in here coming up this weekend.